3 millimeters of frost is still acceptable. Go to the landing gear, check that it is free from ice. The engine, there is no ice. The engine fans can rotate freely. Check that the drains, bleeds and probes are free, and also the fuel tank vents. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel where we learn to fly the A320 like a boss. So as we all know, an aircraft performance is determined by having incredible aerodynamics. A wing covered in ice will degrade performance. A clean aerofoil will provide a laminar flow over the wing and thus provide lift on the wings. When there is ice, it destroys the smooth flow of air and so reducing the airfoil ability to create lift. And so let us discuss what the heck we need to do. First off, ground operations in cold weather operations. Safety exterior inspection. Remove all protective covers. Check the APU intake and that it is free of ice and snow. Look at the pack inlet and outlet doors. The outflow valves, it must be free from ice, if not you would have to de-ice it. It is advisable that we use ground power to start the APU. Bear in mind that with cockpit temperatures below -15 degrees Celsius, the display units may not be available. Also, if the temperature is below -15 degrees Celsius, then you need 15 minutes for a full IRS alignment. Remove ice and snow from your windshield and upper cockpit fuselage. Question is why? Can't we just switch on the probe window heat? Why do we need to physically remove it? Well, if you know the answer, do comment below. Remove the probe covers and switch on the probe window heat. Okay, when we do our exterior walk around, check that the surfaces are free from frost, ice and snow. 3 millimeters of frost is still acceptable. Go to the landing gear, check that it is free from ice. The engine, there is no ice. The engine fans can rotate freely. Check that the drains, bleeds and probes are free, and also the fuel tank vents. Look at the radome and lower part of the plane. Let us talk about de-icing and anti-icing. The captain, the PIC, is responsible to decide if anti-icing or de-icing is required. What is the difference between anti-icing and de-icing? Do comment below if you know the answer. Caution, make sure that low or high pressure ground connectors do not supply any external air to the aircraft. Let us talk about one or two-step procedure. It will depend on the severity of the weather. If it is a one-step, then a single application of heated and diluted de-icing and anti-icing fluid is used. This procedure will provide a short holdover time and is only used when the moisture conditions is low. If it is a two-step procedure, then we have to first apply the heated de-icing fluid and then apply a protective layer of anti-icing fluid. So in the two-step procedure, when does the holdover time start? Do comment below if you know the answer. Okay, so first, establish communication with the ground staff. Choose the correct fluids. Let us talk about the fluids. Type 1 is an orange color fluid that offers short-term protection and is typically sprayed at hot temperatures around 55 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius and at high pressure. Type 2 is normally clear or light yellow and is used for larger aircraft. As the aircraft increases in speed, the fluids will be removed from the surfaces. Type 3 is an anti-icing fluid and is used for slow aircraft and is normally light yellow. Type 4 is also an anti-icing fluid that is similar to Type 2 but has longer holdover time. The fluids come in light green in color. Hey pilots, I'm interrupting my own video to ask you, do you feel out of touch in flying and struggling to remember the sequence of workflow, which button to press, when to press during taxi, climb, cruise, descent, or maybe you are new to the A320 and finding it hard to remember where all the placement of buttons? Well, I have a solution for you. We have produced incredible videos for CM1, CM2 workflow, pilot flying, pilot monitoring workflow for every phase of the flight. Before start, after start, taxi, takeoff, climb, cruise, descent, approach, landing, after landing, and parking, and in simple bite-sized videos that you can watch anytime, anywhere. If this is for you, then DM me on Telegram at Captain SQ A320. Link is in the description. And now let's get back to feeling cold. Okay, let us continue the procedure. Do not start the engines during fluid spraying. We have to make sure that the engines and APU do not ingest any fluid. Don't move the flight controls if it is not free of ice. Cabin pressure mode selector, check auto. Engine 1 bleed off. Engine 2 bleed off. APU bleed off. Ditching push button on. What this button will do is that it will close the outflow valve, the pack valves, avionics ventilation inlet and extract valve. Thrust levers check idle, and only then inform the ground staff that the aircraft is prepared for spraying. Once the spraying operation is completed, switch off the ditching push button and make sure that the outflow valve is open. You can confirm this on the ECAM pressurization page. Engine bleed 1 and 2 on, and ask the ground crew to check the pitot and statics. Remove the ground equipment and receive the de-icing and anti-icing report. Question: what information we can expect? Number 1, it will be the type of fluid used. Number 2 will be the mixed ratio of fluid to water. For example, maybe it's 75% to 25%. Number 3, when the holdover time began. Keep the APU running for 5 minutes before switching on the APU bleed. Just note that sometimes there's a risk of some fluids being ingested into the APU air intake. Continue your normal procedure and pay special attention to your flight control check and also your holdover time expiry. In summary, let us take it from the top. Bear in mind that we have a minimum oil temperature for start. Do comment below if you know the answer. When it comes to taxi time, especially contaminated surfaces, limit your speed to 10 knots. Why? Below 20 knots, the anti-skid will not work. Try to avoid large tiller inputs and keep your distance away from other aircrafts. Engine anti-ice will increase ground idle thrust. Number 5, again check your flight control carefully and delay your flaps and slats extension until you reach the holding point. If you have to wait long before taking off, increase your thrust to 50% N1 for 15 minutes to shed ice. Avoid 61 to 74% N1 range. If you select the anti-ice to on and the valve does not open, increase N2 about 5%. Then when the valves open, retard the thrust levers to idle. When anti-ice is on, you can see the ignition memo on the ECAM.